Hello, I'm Rebecca the Maths Lady, here to help you become a fabulous primary maths teacher so that all your children thrive with their maths and become creative and confident with it. This is the 8th video in the series on teaching maths to 5 or 5 to 6 year olds, which is English Year 1. And in this video, we're going to cover all the odds and ends of number that we haven't covered in the other videos. I'm not going to cover fraction or shape, space, measure there in videos yet to come. So to be more precise, in this video we are going to cover number words, which we haven't touched on yet. We will cover doubles, we'll cover multiplication, including array, division, including array. We'll look at a little bit of work with the square bead frame, if you've got one of those, and we'll talk a little bit about number programs and apps and so on. Right, let's get started with number words. So far, for a number like 6, we've looked at all sorts of aspects of the number 6, but we haven't looked at reading and writing the word for 6. Now, obviously, this bit of maths is more literacy than maths, and clearly you're going to cover reading number words with reading other words. But I just want to make the point that we can give children's understanding of number words and their whole maths a real boost if we take care to mesh those number words into all the other aspects of number that we've been working on. And it's a lovely way to recap numbers in the summer term. So for a number like 6, can the children count 6 objects when you hold up the word? Make that connection. Can they show you that number in 5s and 1s, either with their fingers or with their fingers and toes for a number from 11 to 20, or with any other apparatus that's showing that structure of 5s and 1s? We can also get them to create calculations with number words. Let them use addition signs, subtraction signs and apparatus to show you what they can do with number and really build their confidence step by step until they're confident and fluent with those number words. Now, what about doubles? Well, doubles 1 to 5 are quite easy. They can show you those with their fingers and then count all their fingers to make sure they're completely correct, and do that loads of times until they know those doubles pretty much instantly and can look at double 3 and see it's 6. You might do it with bunny ears. Lots of games for doubles up to double 5. What about once we get beyond double 5? It's a little bit harder. Let's show it with the rake and rake. Now, if we look at double 6 with the rake and rake in the structure of 5s and extras here, if we do that with the rake and rake, it's much easier for the children to see that that's 12 because they can see that these 2 5s are 10 and they can see the extra 2. Similarly for double 7, they can see the 10 and the 4, double 8, double 9, and double 10's easy, that's 20. Now they don't have a rake and rake with them all the time, so you can do the same thing with fingers and toes. Much easier to do with children on the carpet than for me here, but let's have a go. So, got 5 toes, double 6. So I've got 6 on my left and 6 on my right, and that's a 10. My feet are a 10, and you can see the 2, just as you can see it with the rake and rake. Double 7 is 14, double 8, and so on. And if I can do that, you can do that too, because I'm not very flexible. Okay, multiplication. Multiplication is about finding the total number of objects when you've got several groups the same size. So perhaps we've got 5 groups of 3 people. It's a perfect multiplication for year 1, and it's just a puzzle to find out how many people there are altogether. And obviously at this stage, children are going to be generally counting one at a time. That's perfectly reasonable. They're beginning to get their confidence with these problems. It's a great idea to do problems like this practically, actually have objects, arrange them. Obviously in this case it could be an activity in the hall, some kind of PE activity where they've got to get themselves into groups, and you just take a quick moment. How many are people all together? They don't even notice this number. Now in year one, at the top end of year one, you might get to the stage where for groups of 2, 5 or 10 objects, children are starting to use their counting in 2s, 5s and 10s to count those groups. Now that's most likely to happen with groups of 10 because so often you're counting groups of 10 as part of counting a number to 100. So you'll be saying 10, 20, 30, 40 and then counting ones if there were any ones here already. So they should be learning 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 as an earworm and begin to become confident in applying it to counting tens. If you get as far as 2s and 5s, that's quite a stretch. Don't worry if you don't, we'll be doing loads of that in year 2. The other word that's mentioned in the year 1 curriculum relating to multiplication is array. Now look at this situation again. This is 5 groups of 3 children. This is what we generally expect to see in year 1. If we organise them as an array, they look like this, or you could do it the other way on with columns of 5 and 3 across. But you can see your 5 groups of 3 and they are organised as a rectangle, therefore that is an array. Don't have to do a lot with it in year 1, don't really have to do anything with it at all. But in year 2, we're going to start to be able to see sneaky shortcuts that we can actually count 5s there instead of counting 3s in order to find the answer. Array is a tremendously important structure, but it really doesn't matter much at year 1. So what about division? Well, again, division needs to be in practical contexts. Great one would be, we've got 12 socks. How many pairs of socks can we make? And children actually need to move the socks, or at least objects that represent the socks, to become truly confident about the answer. Another one would be, got 12 sweets shared fairly between 2 people. How many sweets does each person get? Another division problem. Now they were actually 2 very different structures of division. They were both the division 12 divided by 2 equals 6, but there were very different things going on. Let's just have a look at that. Here we've got 12 objects. They're going to represent my socks. And the question was, if you've got 12 socks and you organise them into pairs, how many pairs of socks do you get? Well, we can do that. We can actually make the pairs of socks and we can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and see that that's the answer to 12 divided by 2 equals 6. The other question was, we've got 12 sweets, we share them fairly between 2 people. How many sweets does each person get? And we need to deal these sweets out, share them fairly, 1 each, 1 each, 1 each, 1 each, and so on, until we can see that each person's got 6 sweets. So again, 12 divided by 2 is 6, but very different things have happened. Just as there are 2 structures to subtraction, if you think about subtraction being taking away and subtraction being counting on, so there are 2 structures for division. Division can be counting groups or it can be sharing fairly. And if you understand that as a teacher and understand the confusion children are likely to face, that's really, really helpful because you're not going to enhance it. I mentioned array before. And here's one of the reasons why array matters. Because when you organise your objects as an array, you can see both that 12 is 6 groups of 2 and 2 groups of 6 at the same time. An array is the only structure that shows that. So array unites the 2 models of division, just as part whole unites the 2 models of subtraction. Big idea, quite beyond year 1, but we're really going to hit it hard in year 2. So in year one, it's quite important as a teacher that you understand that there are two structures of division and that they're confusing if you muddle them together, and that you can work around that. And it's helpful if you appreciate in year two that the two models of division are going to make sense when we unite them through array. An array is going to be an important structure. So my final section in this video is going to be about the square bead frame. Don't have to use this in year one, but a lot of classrooms have one. So I just wanted to show you some things you can do with it at the end of year one that are very, very powerful. What we can do that's difficult to do with other structures, if we look at a number like 72, there's 72, and we can ask children to partition that number. They might come up with, a typical one would be 70 and 2. And you can notate that as an addition for them. Very top end year one stuff to do. Now what you can then do is say, okay, 72, can you partition it in another way, please? Talk to your talk partners. What can you come up with? And they may come up with anything. There's lots of options they can come up with there. But one nice one, if we just look at this, is if they come up with 60 add 12. And you can notate that as well. 70 add 2 is the same as 60 add 12, and that is setting up for exchanging and subtraction. But really they can just have a play. We can do and another one, and another one, and another one. Who can come up with the most interesting one? You can partition into more than two parts if you want and come up with an addition of 3 amounts. Let's just look at 70. Obviously you can pick any number you like. If you ask the children to partition 70, what might they come up with? If they were allowed to partition it into more than two parts, what might they come up with? And they might come up with 10 add 10, add 10, add 10, add 10, add 10, add 10. And you might shorten that to 7 times 10. Just to introduce them to the notation of multiplication and why it's a useful shortcut, because it shortens long additions of lots of the same number. You could do that with other apparatus. You could do it with your penguins, certainly, and you could do it with your big bead frame. It doesn't work quite as well, but it can be done. But I just wanted to give you a taste of what really brilliant teachers are doing at the end of year one to create an environment in which children are going to enjoy stretching themselves and really showing off their year one maths and exploring what's possible now. I also mentioned that I would talk a little bit about number programs, things like number blocks, num-tums, number jacks and so on, and apps. The end of the year, it's a great time when you're all knackered, have been out running around all day. Put videos on. Children seem to get an awful lot from them, reviewing their early years maths, playing around with small numbers. With the apps, they're often subitizing, learning to instantly recognise 1, 2, 3, 4 and connect them to those numbers. These are all important skills, and if you create an environment in your classroom where children can opt into those activities, they will generally naturally gravitate to the activities that they need to become fluent with or just sort out some bits of their early maths. So in this video we've covered the rest of number in year one. Haven't covered fractions, that's coming next week. And I've shown you how expert teachers go well beyond the minimum requirements for the year one curriculum without speeding them up the curriculum. We're not trying to rush them into the year two curriculum. We're just trying to connect and deepen and broaden and challenge their understanding of the year one curriculum. So next week I'll be back with fraction, and then we'll be moving on to the shape, space and measure part of the year one curriculum. If you'd like YouTube notifications when those videos are published, please click on subscribe and then click on the bell when that appears, and you'll get little notifications to tell you that the new videos are there. Either that, or you can just make it a habit to tune in every weekend and get a little dose of professional development in primary maths. So last quick reminder, we don't have any money for promoting these videos, so they're not easy for teachers to find. If you'd like teachers to be able to find them, please subscribe, like, comment, share, recommend them to your friends, recommend them in groups. Be hugely grateful. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.